Irrespective of whether I'm working with racing drivers to shave off the seconds or TV presenters to go big on stage, CEOs to discover what comes next, failure is often a core issue. And for all of us here, it's our attitude towards failure that often makes a difference between us being successful or not. But what is failure? I mean, really, what is it? Like me, many of you will be inspired by the well-known successes. People like Dyson, his famous vacuum cleaner. He famously claims that his success is built on 5,000 failures. Thomas Edison has the greater claim to 10,000 failures in making a viable light bulb. What's really interesting about Edison is he describes each of his failures as valuable and discoveries. Richard Branson says similar things. That paints a very different picture for the meaning of failure to what most of us would normally think. I'll tell you what makes me kind of smile about all of this. So if it takes 5,000 failures to vacuum up fluff and 10,000 failures to light up a bulb, anybody here want to be the first tourist sent up into space? So my curiosity about this whole subject of failure started in my early 20s. I'd become fascinated by the Japanese martial art of jiu-jitsu. And I'd surprised myself by doing quite well in competition. But I noticed this really weird pattern in my behavior. How is it that sometimes, even though I've got the necessary skills, I'd go to pieces under pressure? And yet other times when there were no expectations, I seemed able to easily excel. I don't know if you've ever had that, have you? But it got me really, really curious. What causes that? It's one of those things, I just needed to know. Both as a competitor and during my early business career. Even though I had a number of successes, I was plagued by this pattern of failure. And the more I thought about it, the more it seemed to raise its ugly head, to the point where I began to fear situations where that might happen and totally avoid them. And I noticed I wasn't alone in this. I noticed that other people were plagued by this problem too. And so I got to the point where I just said, enough is enough. I need to do something about this. It's time to face up to this fear of failure. And so with my business head on, I decided I was going to outstudy failure. I was going to outthink it and outsmart it. If that wasn't enough, I was just going to put in more hours and outwork it. With my martial arts head on, I was going to outpace it, outplay it. I was going to do whatever it took to beat failure once and for all. I was sick to death of it. And at the time, they seemed like good ideas. And so over a period of around about 8 years, I went on course after course after course. And I worked long, long hours. But the problem was, the more I fought failure, the more failure fought back. And the tension between we want to achieve my goals and this fear of failure became more and more intense. And the stress and the anxiety became so overwhelming that I could feel I was starting to burn out. Not a particularly pleasant experience. And so, what do we do in these situations? What do you do? Well, even though that was a particularly uncomfortable time for me, I did learn some really important lessons, some real simple truths. Avoiding failure isn't the same thing as success. It's just not. Ignoring failure prevents learning and prevents growth. That's obvious. But fearing failure causes stress, anxiety, and worse. And so that's all well and good. So what can you do? Well, there was a time where all of us were naturally excellent at dealing with failure. Let me illustrate what I mean. When I was 5, ice cream was the universal reward for everything. For me, at age 5, ice cream was success. And so imagine this. It's dinner time, and I know that there's ice cream for dessert. Ooh, ice cream. So I scamper over to the table. I clamber up into my chair. But then I see my plate. Oh, Brussels sprouts. I mean, come on, no 5-year-old likes Brussels sprouts, do they? But you know the deal. Eat your dinner, and then it's ice cream for dessert. So what do? Ignore the sprouts, hope they'll just disappear, pretend they're not there, and that you'll get the ice cream anyway. Well, we all learned really quickly that doesn't work. Tantrum? Too unpredictable. There's ice cream at stake here. So what else do? So I remember on this one occasion, my parents' conversation had turned to something important. And all on its own, my fork picked up a sprout, put it under the table and into my pocket. Brilliant. 1 down, 3 to go. So another one went in my pocket, and I was obviously feeling brave because one went in the plant pot. And I remember thinking, I really hope that doesn't grow. So now my plate is nearly empty. I've just got one last sprout. And then I notice all attention has turned to me. And I get that stomach-tightening fear of being caught. Oh, haven't you done well with your sprouts? Would you like some more? And in comes a giant serving spoon. Phil's, no! So that one didn't work either. So what do? Well, you cover them in ketchup, or you get used to the taste. I mean, you do, don't you? That's what you do. Because then getting ice cream is easy. And for me, at age 5, that was success. And so the moral of the story, if there were a moral of the story, is this. The more palatable failure, the more simple success. And I think people like Dyson, Edison, Branson, I think they know this. I think this is their genius, is they know this. And that means, because they know how to make failure palatable, they spend their time dealing with success, not with failure, with success. And so, to wrap up, let me offer you this. If, like Dyson, you realize your failures are building success, would you have more confidence? If, like Edison, you valued the discoveries, would you take more action? And if, like Richard Branson, you just enjoyed the journey, would you have more fun? Because then maybe you'll have your own light bulb moments. Realize there's no such thing as failure. All there is success. Thank you.